myself up for you. There I am. Okay. She personifies the best in jazz idiom over a career that spans 30 LPs, nearly 40 years producing jazz, all originals, no covers. As you know, if you're one of the many fans of the Power Hour, we bring you the best in jazz every week, and this is no exception. So tonight, I have my special guest for all of you is the wonderful, beautiful, lovingly, she loves her fans and she's full of love in life, Keiko Matsui. Keiko has described her music as being about hope and energy and self-discovery. And she's one of the people that cares for one another and for the planet. Keiko demonstrates this vision every day, bringing joy to the world through her musical compositions. While her music is really eclectic, its basis is in some respects smooth jazz meets new age. But this still isn't an apt description of Keiko's music. While her music is part of new age and sometimes preoccupied with ethereal landscapes and introspective musings, covering some of the same basically simple terrain for which new age music is known, her compositions go far above that and beyond the simplicity of either new age or the never risky smooth jazz with new age and the genre that she has developed along these lines is imposing a passion that's missing in some of the smooth jazz and new age blend. She infuses R&B and funk and soul, and she's incredibly gifted and versatile. So I want everybody to know that I have a wonderful guest tonight, and I'm bringing her on right now. Please say hello to Keiko Matsui.
Hi,
Keiko.
everyone. Hi, Mel.
Hey, how are you, Keiko?
Fine, thank you. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. The pleasure is really all mine. I'm so glad you're here. And the many thousands of fans that are going to be tuning in to hear you tonight, we're grateful that you can take the time to share some of your love of music and your passion with them too. So I like to start out all the time by asking my special guest, what's cooking?
Yes.
What's going on? I know that you're going to be in DC the next day or two. And maybe you can tell people about that venue where you'll be appearing. And what other kinds of projects you have in store for everybody in 2024?
Okay. So I kicked off my tour, Euphoria tour, this year, and I'll be at the Bethesda Theater. And this will be a very special show. And I'm gonna play many songs from my latest album, Euphoria, and also some classic hits from my previous albums. And I invited EJB on saxophone, and I will be with my amazing band. We have been traveling many parts of the world. On drums, Jimmy Branley from Cuba, and on bass from Holland, Rico Beret, and from Denmark, Peter Mongaya on guitar. So it will be a very special evening.
That sounds wonderful. And that's this Friday, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Friday? Saturday.
It's a Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
Saturday. It's this Saturday at Bethesda Theater. you have to think where you are.
Yeah, I'm traveling too much, I think.
Yes, and I think the doors open at 6 o'clock. And for all those people who are listening in from the DMV, be sure to go see Keiko. You're gonna love her performances. She's so personable, and her music is just exemplifies the best in jazz. So that's wonderful. So besides the tour, what else is in store for anybody in 2024? Anything you'll be doing, and what are the places you're going to? You can tell people some other places you'll be appearing to.
Oh, okay. So we are on the East Coast tour, and then I'm gonna join with Dave Coe's cruise and Dave Coe's and the Friends cruise for Greece. So we are going to prepare that. Oh, but before that, in April, I will be at the Berks Jazz Festival, and with the orchestra, Reading Pops Orchestra.
Oh,
So
wow.
we do orchestra show, and the next day, early morning, we drive to New York, and performing at Sunny Hall.
Oh,
and
what?
then keep going on and rehearsal before the cruise and then cruise show and then come back US tour again. And also I'll be in Japan for a few days in Tokyo. So we are going to perform there. And I I don't remember everything, but yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be
yeah.
great.
You know how many stops are going to be on this tour? How many places?
This tour, this week is 3 stops, but the next week, kick off from starting flying to Boston, and then almost like 2 weeks we will be on the road.
Wow, wow. That's a lot. It's amazing. I know what goes into going on the road and going on tour. It takes a lot to organize, a lot to
Yes,
execute. Yeah.
so more than performing time, the traveling is maybe 80% of our job.
Yes. Yeah.
But after, because of a pandemic, so almost like we needed to stop the touring about 2 years. So I realized that time, I realized that how much I was not home and I didn't have enough sleep. And also I thought about our life and many things. It was good, meaningful time, but at the same time, it was very sad because I couldn't play front of audience. So that was my energy source.
Yeah. Yeah. Your performances are so personable. You put so much of yourself into those performances, and you share so much with your audience all the time. And that's a gift because a lot of artists can play, but they can't engage, and you can do both. When you're on stage, and it's wonderful. I've
Oh,
seen
thank you.
a number of your concerts. They're really excellent. Let's
Thank you.
start from the beginning. I want people to know a little bit more about your musical development. What's your,
Uh-huh.
tell us a little bit about your childhood home. Was there music in your home? I mean, how did you come to music?
Well, I was very active child, and in Japan, it was very common. Like mother takes you to the piano lesson or ballet or some sports, and my mother was a traditional Japanese dance teacher, so she wanted to make me to do, but I totally didn't show any interest, so she gave up and. Took me and my neighbor friend to the private piano lesson. So I studied classical piano, but I was interested in the school thing and the sports. So I was doing many things. So I never thought about becoming professional musicians. So studying sports and then taking lessons. But somehow my mother loves music, so I found some vinyl album at home, like Ella Fitzgerald, Oscar Peterson, and then movie soundtrack. So I fell in love to those music, and then somehow during elementary school, um, like writing diary, but instead of that, I started making little melodies. And when I went to school trip and beautiful scenery or something inspired me, and just I wrote really short melodies. That's the beginning. But still, I never thought becoming professional musicians, but from junior high or so, I started taking more lessons and for the music theory and solfege and all these things. So, and then because of I studied early about those things, uh, very naturally I got the perfect pitch, but still I was doing many things. And then when I was in high school, I had opportunity to compose for the movie soundtrack. Japanese series, Toho's like Godzilla's company made this, yeah, made this very serious movie called
I,
Drifting.
let me interrupt you. Interrupt you. I got a question. How did they find you to do that music track?
Oh, actually, that time I was signed as a special program for the Yamaha Music Foundation.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
it's different from music school, but they made some special class and learning about scoring for the TV and all these things. And then director chose some group of composers. I mean, as student, I was the youngest, I think, but about five composers in that particular program. Director chose us to compose. In, actually, yeah, Yamaha recommended us to director, and then that was very still. I remember so well clearly because while the director is explaining about this image of this movie, and I have a script, I mean, original book, and then director was talking to me, and then while he was talking to me, I received melodies, and
Wow.
that was the first time. Immediately, just talking about them from the introduction to the main theme, I received it. So, and then after that, of course, I made a lot of other music for the other cues. But after all composed and made some piano demo or something, then this director chose my theme as a main title track. So that was
Wow.
like, oh, and
Wow.
then, yeah, and then after first premiere at the Toho company's studio, and I saw that my theme was played with the orchestra and the tight end roll. I saw
That's
my
your name.
name and this music, and then just that was amazing moment. And then I found my interest towards a movie soundtrack too, because usually I compose for as a, my own composition, but this is like a music plus visual was not too
Right.
more than that. So since then, somehow becoming even I was a student, but they signed with me as a artist. So since then, my professional career started.
Did you so you knew at that point this is what you want to do for your life's ambition? You want to be a music composer, right?
Uh,
Or did it happen later?
um, well, that inspired me a lot because it was naturally I received it. Not try because student era trying to write, trying to compose, trying to develop the song. But from that moment, I start catching instead of trying to write. So that was a very nature thing and a mystic moment. And then I started performing in Japan and things like that. But still, I didn't think about I will do this for the life.
And how did you get your first performance? You know, when you first started to perform, how did that come about? You moved from composing to performing.
Mm,
Explain that a little bit.
yes, actually, while I was at the Yamaha, and then even I was a student or junior high, they had some opportunity to us to perform for the special event. So I was the guest for the International Music Festival at the Budokan when I was like 14 years old and playing at this moving stage and playing toccata and the fuga by Bach. And also I played original compositions. So that kind of thing happened from early era.
But when would you say, Keiko, was your first really important concert? Where was it? When was it? You know, I know you did your first studio album in 1987, A Drop of Water. But were you
Mhm.
were you performing on stage by that time when you did your first album?
Actually, you yes, maybe I can mention this. So after I moved to US and started my career with my first album, and because of first album was chose from by Tower Record, like July 4th recommended album. So that was amazing. And when I heard my music from the radio, And that time the wave was not smooth jazz either.
Right.
They said quiet storm, and I heard my song, and oh my gosh, my song is on the radio. And then July 4th, Mark Tower Record has my album as a recommended. So then I was told that maybe you should start your own concert and then that was in Santa Monica, the place venue called At My Place. And I worried about, wow, audience will come. And then the day of the show, I invited Carl Anderson, who is already in heaven, but he sang on the title track "A Drop of Water," and he was the special guest. And I had all American band there, and then I heard that, oh, Keiko, you have lots of line, and the people are lining more than 2 blocks, and I said, oh
Wow.
my gosh! So that was my first show in U.S. as Keiko Matsui.
So by that time, you knew that was your career. You're going to be a musician.
Actually, I felt so mean, but still, when I had first baby in '88, and until last minute, I was doing concert in US. And one show, the last show, because I was going back to Japan to have baby birth, so that particular show was sold out and in a big tent
Wow.
festival. And I didn't mention anything. This is gonna be last show or blah blah blah. But right after the show, um, um, African American lady, like grandma lady, came to me and she was in tears and she held my hand like, Keiko, thank you so much for beautiful thing. So that made me so happy and inspired. And also there were 3 ladies, like career woman type of ladies came to me and they said like, Keiko, don't stop, don't stop. And I felt like, oh my gosh, they felt something. Because my mother, it was she was not working. She was a housewife, and always she was at home. And when I come back from school and I talk about school, and she was always there for me. So I wanted to become that kind of mother. So that moment, that time, I was not thinking to keep my whole career forever because I wanted to be there for my kids, my baby. But
So,
those ladies influenced me. Okay, I shouldn't stop.
so you were, so I guess you were thinking your first album would probably be your last album at one point because you're going to be home as a mother.
Actually, that was almost like kind of made album as a memory, and
Yeah.
then started hearing like radio station has been playing my music, and also record deal I got, and then booking agent, manager, all this structure was made. So somehow I kept doing it, and then doing more and more, and then of course having a hard time with my private life, but at the same time I found more and more gaining my fans, and I really appreciate it, and then started feeling more connection with the piano. Piano connection became so stronger and stronger, and then somehow I found, oh, this might be my mission of this life.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah. Sometimes it's difficult because you're torn between two different worlds. And it's hard sometimes to integrate those and have a career and have the life you want to lead at the same time. It is difficult, and
Mhm.
a lot of people don't realize how stressful this is for a lot of musicians. They have to make these
Mhm.
decisions. Should I record? Should I tour? I need family time. I need free time. It's
Yeah.
a complex world in entertainment. It's not as glamorous all the time as people like to think it is. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I want to brag about you for a few minutes. So let me tell people a little bit more about you, and you can
Okay.
correct anything that I say that may be inaccurate.
Uh-huh.
Keiko's music, to me, sits at a grand terminus of jazz, classical, new age, R&B, rock, and world music. I mean, it somehow infuses all those into a melodic symphony of notes and phrases and that are just remarkable. And as a result, when you listen to Keiko's music, she can emphasize any of those aspects that she wants to because she's so versatile, and it gives her music all the time a different flavor, a different sound, and but it's always entirely hers because of this infusion of multi-genres. So if you've listened to smooth jazz at any point over the last 3 decades, okay, then you know her music, you know her compositions, because often it was described as smooth jazz, but I think that was pigeonholing Keiko a little too much because she's far more than just a smooth jazz artist. So her music is not homogeneous or bland like a lot of smooth jazz is in my mind. It has a lot of rough edges, and it's very interesting to listen to and takes you into different places all the time. So, you have to listen to her compositions because they're infused with not only new age and rock and R&B and funk, as I mentioned, and even swing. And oftentimes it's just discordant jazz. It's just improvisational jazz. So you can see this range in her 30 albums. And, her music spans so much time and space, and brings freshness all the time to whatever she's working on. And I want to mention a few of what I think, and you can correct me, Keiko, if you
Okay.
have a different take. I want to mention a few of the albums that she's done and some of the songs she's done. Journey to the Heart in 2016, she did a song called Moving On that I love. Okay. Her 2019 album, Echo, Moon Over Gotham, another song that I absolutely love. In 1998, it was Full Moon in the Shrine was the name of the
Mm.
album. And I love Forever, Forever. That was one of my favorite songs.
Ah.
And finally, another one that sticks in my mind is the 1996 Bridge Over the Stars. And
Uh-huh.
and that was from Dreamwalk, an album she did in '96. I wanted to mention these because this, to me, is the early years of Keiko, and
Mm.
the demarcation point that I'll be getting to very shortly. That happened around 2007 when she made a trip to Africa, which I'll bring up in a few minutes. But often there's one album or one concert that marks a critical milestone in a long career. And I don't know which album you think that might be, but I like to refer to the album you did in 2007, Moya. You went to
Uh-huh.
Africa, and you are on stage with trumpeter Hugh Masekela, and the
Mm.
result, Rebirth, that album was fearless in my mind. It was so different. It was such a breakout time for you, and I just want people to know that you know to me, again, and again, Keiko, please, anything I say that may be inaccurate, please correct. But you were
Mm.
going through a difficult time with marriage and with your record label contract, and you like everybody else, Keiko bleeds like everybody else does, and
Ah.
it was a tough time. But you rejuvenated yourself, and you set out on a new course. So can you talk a little bit about Moya and to me, 2007 is a demarcation point from the early Keiko. If I'm wrong,
Mm.
please correct me. Go ahead.
Wow, Mel, you are so right.
Okay, thank you.
Wow. Okay. Yes. Actually, I divorced in 2006, and 2007 Moyo album is the first album I produced by myself, and it was so like it's for me it is like I started a new life.
Yes.
And of course, before was like it was complicated with music life and family life. And I have two girls. So, but I just needed to keep going on to protect. and support my two girls and my mom, one dog and one cat. and and at the same time, very fortunately, even I was having rough time, but my shows were booked in the for the future dates, and I had a record deal, so I was very grateful. And for me to think about how I want to live this life, and all these things inspired me to go to South Africa because I had a good connection with South Africa. Of course, dear Hugh Masekela, who is already in heaven, but I wanted to create from zero over there. So actually, I spent a month to stay in Johannesburg, and I borrowed a piano over there. But it's not like a studio. I was introduced to the piano storage, and I went to the piano storage. I commute to there every day, and until sun goes down because they don't have a heater, and the piano was sitting on the ground.
Oh
You
boy.
know, so when the sun gets down, it became so cold. But I was composing and I was trying to catch the melody there. And then Moyo, Moyo, the title track came, and also Great Romance, those melody came to me. And it inspired me to invite Richard Bona, who is a great bassist and a singer too. So I catch all these things, and I went back to record this Moyo album with a South African musician, most of the member. So it was very special time. And Moyo means in Swahili heart and soul, and that was my heart and soul. That's the beginning.
That's a beautiful story. Yeah, it really is. That's why
Thank you.
I wanted to hear it, and I wanted everybody to hear it. You know,
Oh,
so
thank you. Oh, and you picked the Bridge Over the Stars. That was my, I think it's, yeah, my first hit in, I think, yeah, that was
it
from
was.
a
Yes.
six album or something. Yeah, that was a very big hit for my first hit on my compositions. And then also, next one was Safari from Sapphire, 95. But because of that, I named it Sapphire because of my second baby's birthstone. She was
Oh,
born in
okay.
95. Yeah,
Oh,
anyway, you picked very special ones, and the Full Moon and the Shrine. And that was I composed for how do you call, uh, I forgot. American documentary station, BBC, BBC,
maybe, okay.
BBC.
No,
Yes.
PBS. Was it
Huh?
PBS? Was it PBS?
PBS,
Yeah.
PBS. Thank you, PBS. Yes. So I was introduced to make a music program. So for that, I invited African who lives in States, but the director, movie director, and he chose to use a film for to shoot. And we set a special Shinto shrine in Japan called Itsukushima Shrine from Hiroshima. And we moved to Yamaha, provided the piano in the shrine and with the
Oh,
Kyogen
oh.
dancer. So I composed this particular song as an opening for this particular program. So we shot that in Japan at the shrine, and also other parts was shot in San Francisco Palace of Fine Arts. I invited strings with a Bridge Over the Stars, and those TV program uh, became TV program was aired in many
Yes.
parts of the world. That's why I became famous in South Africa too. So so from that point, even I haven't toured in those part of the world, but my songs start walking by themselves. Because of that program aired by satellite, many people start knowing my music. And then I was invited for Eastern Europe tour, and then I gradually I started doing a theater concert in different part of the world.
Well, you can tell from the selection of the music I just shared with everybody. I've always been a big fan of yours, and I listen very carefully to all of
Ah,
your music. I mean, you brought so much joy and pleasure to everybody. So, I'm
thank
so honored to have you here tonight. Let's jump ahead to your to Euphoria, because to me, I mentioned Moya, and I mentioned some other songs that you developed and albums in between. But to me, I think that Euphoria is another milestone. It opened up all different kinds of musical
you.
possibilities for you. And I want you to talk a little bit about the background to Euphoria. And the first song we're going to play tonight for Euphoria is Steps on the Globe. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about how Euphoria came to you and a little bit about Steps on the Globe, and then we'll play it for everybody.
Okay, so this is another meaningful album, and all over the world we had a very hard time with the pandemic. So after 2 years of pandemic, finally we got together in the studio. Actually, I spent over a year to correct the motif and the melodies, and some of them inspired because of during pandemic. I thought about our life or where we came from and what's going on this world. So those my thought reflect to this album, and also our joy, happiness, and the courage and love. It's so much in this album because finally I could get together with all these wonderful musicians in the studio and face to face, hearing each other, we could create this. And also, I can talk about this later, but I received the melody of vocal song. And immediately when I received it, I thought about her, Lalah Hathaway. And without asking her to sing or write the lyrics, I just completed the whole melody and then I sent to her. Anyway, every single song has a very special meeting point and a special influence. And this album captures lots of emotions and the love and the courage. And then, so I'd like to tell that Steps on the Globe. It is, for me, this is like a new era for all of us on this planet. So we have to just go moving on and with a positive energy and love and courage, we just keep going on. So this is the first radio single of this album was Steps on the Globe.
And this album came out in early 2023. Is that correct?
Yes, almost like a year ago.
Yes, yes, yes. It's gotten a lot of airtime. It's a wonderful album, and "Steps on the Globe," is one of my favorite songs. So let's play "Steps on the Globe," and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
I muted myself. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. 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 Okay.
I didn't want my noise to interfere with your wonderful music. But
Oh.
the song is wonderful. I want to set up a discussion about a little bit more about technique,
Mhm.
and some of the background, not only to this song but to the album, Euphoria. But I want to call people's attention, for those of you that may not be jazz aficionados, about what makes this so special. Your grooves are absolutely funky, and I love them. And it always leads into melodies that are so recognizable as only yours. And I guess that's the inspiration you always talk about that comes to you in terms of
Ah.
melodies. Your compositions sound like you're always inviting people, your listeners, to join you on a world tour, to go and look at the rich world of jazz. And you can hear these organic harmonies, and you have brilliant key changes. Your key changes are so perfect. Your technique is so perfect. I'm not just bragging to embarrass you, but it's true. And this is what sets you apart so much from so many other jazz pianists, is your technique and your perfection, what you do. And you have an amazing ear for orchestration, and that's one of the things that I love. One of the problems with contemporary urban music is no instruments. There's very little orchestration, and to hear the richness and the complexity of the orchestration in your music, to me, is sets you apart. You have a sense of dynamics that are, again, your dynamics can go from whisper soft to ear deafening, something that Ozzy Osbourne would have to put in earplugs to listen to. You know, you
Go
know,
for rock.
yeah, exactly, exactly. See, you take people everywhere. It's a musical odyssey. It's a journey when they go and listen to your music. Your albums over the years have always displayed jazz, rock, classical influence, and also sensitive new age vibes. And I just want people to understand the craftsmanship that goes into your recordings, aside from your absolutely joyous piano compositions. Can you tell everybody a little bit about the recording process for something like Euphoria? Who arranges your compositions with you, or do you do them all yourself? How do you choose
Okay.
how did you choose a producer and an engineer? How do you go through, tell people a little bit about the process of getting this together?
Okay. Let's see. So, wow, it's so many stuff, but well, um, some some songs sometimes I compose, but it is very interesting progress, because when I was waiting to hear something, that's as a me as an artist and composer, and sometime beginning of this every album I made too much pressure over me, and I feel like, oh, what to do? I already wrote over 290 songs, and how they come to me or something. And then I realized that, oh, you are so spoiled because you have a record deal and your show is already booked ahead and next year, and you're so spoiled. You have 200% of the possibility. Then I switch my brain, like, right, right. I have so much possibility, and fans are waiting for me, and I'm so grateful. Then I release myself. The pressure is gone. Then start catching the melodies. So that's the beginning. And then after for a while, I corrected the motifs and the melodies, and especially from which album? From Journey to the Heart. That album I signed with my new manager, Bud Harner, and he then we produced together. So he's the co-producer, Bud Harner. So since then, I corrected motif. Then about 100 I corrected, and I reduced to like 40 of them. Then I let him to listen to, and we start discussing and which one is good to stay and blah blah blah, and then squeeze down to 20, and then 14, and then finally 10 or something like that. So always because for me melody is very important, and in the world there are so many great musicians, and so many players and so much beautiful songs. But if I do this and if I receive this opportunity, what I want to express, then melody is my forte because I received it. So, and all these elements my image comes to me for individual songs, but sometimes I chose a particular arranger and musicians. So that's different perspective. So from that point, after I chose 10 or 12 songs, now I'm standing as a producer. And as a producer, that choose the best musician for each song. That's why I for Euphoria album, I have 3 groups, and one group for the rhythmic grooving song, and the other one is more deeper or some orchestrational album. And also, I invited my tour member. You will see at the concert, and we know each other well, and we have some particular kind of chemical for a particular song. So I invited them to play on this too. And so it's so much progress we are going through. But anyway, oh my gosh, I'm connecting to the battery. I'm sorry, the charge is low. He said,
Oh,
okay, sorry,
you'll
no
be
worries.
okay.
Okay, yeah, I hope so. Okay, yeah,
Okay. So,
it's
so who does
charging.
who does your arranging?
This time, Randy Wardman, who arranged for Echo and Journey to the Heart too. And so he arranged 5 songs. And then also John Beasley,
Okay.
nominate Grammy Award arranger. John Beasley, wonderful jazz player and producer arranger. And he did Euphoria and Legend of the Agrarian. And Ron Pedley, who is a good friend with Bud, and he did great tracks for other songs too.
So you put this team together for each project. You're the one that brings everybody together.
Uh, yes, I mean, actually, I discussed with the co-producer Bud, and we
Right.
selected particular musician and arranger, and select the date because after pandemic, everybody became so busy, and I was doing my tour, and I went to charity concert in Paraguay during this progress, so it was very tricky, but it was perfect. And engineers. Steve Sykes. He did beautiful work for recording and also mixing.
Wonderful. Before we play another selection from
Mhm.
Euphoria, I want to switch gears a little bit from producing and recording to talk about your touring and your concerts and your on stage persona. A little bit about that. I want to kind of set that up by mentioning something to try to figure out from all the songs that you've done, how do you compose a set list for a particular venue? But before I ask you that question, let me set this up by telling you something that Chuck Berry, the rock and roll legend, once said.
Mhm.
And he was asked, "How do you build a set list? You know, do you reflect on the particular audience and then decide what you think they want to hear?" And Chuck Berry's answer was, "I don't really care what they want to hear. I want to take them someplace they didn't know they wanted to go. And when I
Ah,
take them on that journey with me, I connect with my audience." So he always looked at it not from the standpoint of what do people want to hear, but what do they want them to hear in his music. So you
mm.
can tell everybody a little bit about the difference between putting together a set list for a performance and putting together 12 songs for a recording. What's the different process you go through?
Wow, deep. Well, for the recording, because this is like even I go to heaven, still my babies, my songs will stay on this earth. So I'm very serious very picky to pick the songs. And of course, there is meaningful songs like because of this time, because of my thought, like Euphoria was born. So So it's like I felt fate. Each song has fate. So it's a different connection. And for the concert, actually, when I'm playing, I don't think anything. I just into those each songs. And but for sure, I don't think I want people to see this and that, but we experience together. So one of the lady radio hosts in Seattle, Diane Rose, she introduced me for the show. Like Keiko's music is not just music. Experience Keiko Matsui. So I love that because we share emotion and thought and energy and exchanging, and in the same room we really exchange that, and the audience happy smile made me happy. But sometimes we just get into the music, and sometimes I was already gone and I didn't want to talk, but I have to do MC, so I will do that. But every song takes us to somewhere, and then I'm sure that we share that moment with the audience. So but to represent this new album, I selected carefully, and this is the most amount we put. I put many songs from a new album, but at the same time, I know and I want to share some classical hit, because each person, because I received comments on the social media or a long time ago, the fan letter, I know that particular song relate to someone's life so deeply. So I include like Forever, Forever and Bridge Over the Stars. All these things are in the set too. So, but it became so hard because I have already over 300 songs, and sometimes my fans scream like, "Oh, Butterfly and Deep Blue," and "Oh, thank you, you know me for that long. Thank you so much." But we cannot play tonight. But sorry, I hope you have a favorite song in the set.
You remind me in some ways of Bob Dylan. I never could figure out how he would decide what to play on stage from hundreds and hundreds of songs that he composed. So, I'm curious how you go through the process. Let's play another song from Euphoria, one that I love.
Yes.
It's Neo's, and it features Randy Brecker. So why don't you just tell people a few words about that, and we'll play it for everybody.
Okay. So this song, first thing is came to me is this bass line, and then and then immediately, okay, Randy, because Randy Brecker played at my New York show, Sony Hall, when I released Echo, and that time he was not on the album, but it was great gathering, and I wanted to have him to play on my album this time. And then finally this one, Frugal Home, he played a wonderful, beautiful, and we couldn't stop this track, so we originally would have fade out, but we played whole thing, and then Randy Brecker joined, and he made a great conversation between me and the band, so it was amazing.
Wonderful. Let's play Neo from Keiko and Randy Brecker, and then we'll be back for another final song from the wonderful album Euphoria. So I'll be. Bravo.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that. You know, I obviously the horn playing, your piano runs, but one of the things I mentioned earlier about your musical ear, the percussion that goes on in the throughout this song is, you know, it just it drives so much of the music and the excitement, you know. So
Yes, this one, Luis Conte played on whole track,
yes,
whole album. Yeah.
just wonderful. You know, look, there's so much more I want to talk to you about, but we're running out of time. So I want to play the last song of the evening that I love, and these are the three I think are wonderful. And although every track in Euphoria is wonderful, I want to play New Passage. So why don't you tell everybody really briefly about New Passage, then we'll play the song, and I really hope you'll come back and join us again in the near future
Thank you.
so we can explore
Yes,
more of your wonderful music. All right, so tell
thank you
people
so
about
much.
my pleasure. Tell people about New Passage.
Yes, New Passage was born because of my fans' comment. I saw while I was composing, I saw one of the comments on the social media, and he said, Keiko, I'm waiting for your new beautiful melodies.
Ah,
Then this melody came from the verse melody, chorus melody, that's 5/8. That's weird number of the rhythm. But all these things came to me because of my fans. Thank you so much.
that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. You know, I want to. I'll tell you really quickly. You just reminded me of something. I'm sure you know Brian Culbertson. You know who Brian is?
Oh
Brian
yeah.
Culbertson.
Okay.
Yes, Brian. When the pandemic hit, he wanted to do something, so he bought
Uh-huh.
this very sophisticated technology, and he signed up a number of his fans to co-write a song with him. He wanted his fans
Really?
to help, and they wrote a song in his studio. They all called in. They all registered to be part of this. He made them all co-producers, and it made the bill
Oh,
and it made the
oh,
Billboard Top 20, and it was all
oh.
co-produced with his fans. So,
Oh, yeah.
so when you talk about your fan inspiring you, you know
Uh-huh.
when you connect with your audience, your fans are important to your music. You know,
Uh-huh.
and and and
Right.
you're so wonderful and so engaged with your audience. So let's play New Passage,
Okay.
which is fan produced, and then we'll come back and we'll say goodnight. Okay. So
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
here's Keiko Matsui, New Passage from her wonderful album Euphoria. How wonderful, Keiko. And it's such a
Thank
beautiful,
you.
I want to tell you two words that came to my mind when I listened to that.
Mm.
Heart happy,
Hmm?
heart happy, heart happy.
Heart happy.
Yes.
Ah.
It just,
Great, great.
it makes it just puts people, I think, into a wonderful place. It's
Oh,
you have a wonderful gift. And look,
thank you.
I wanted to play so badly the track you did with Lalah Hathaway because I love Lalah. I love her
Oh,
voice. So I hope you come back and spend a little
uh-huh.
time with us in the future when you have time.
Yes, it would be great because Euphoria, the title track too, it's the
Yes,
I put this because of I feel that we now new era we can focus on your own happiness. At the same time we
yes,
care each other, then we can increase more happiness on this planet. That's my message song.
yes, it is, and that's it is, so that's why I'm telling you this is a breakout album for you.
Thank
I
you.
mentioned Moya was very special to me, and this one is
Mm,
very special also. And it's remarkable how you maintain the energy, enthusiasm, and creativity
mm,
after
thank
30 wonderful albums. I can't wait. I can't wait for the next one. I know it'll be a 31 because you'll never stop. But
Oh,
you bring so much pleasure to people, and you have a wonderful
mm.
spirit. And I want to thank you once again for being on the Jazz Confusion Power Hour.
Oh, thank you so much for your support.
Yes, and be sure everybody come see Keiko Matsui at Bethesda Theater, right near DC, this coming Saturday. Doors open at 6 o'clock. You don't want to miss it. So definitely come out and see her performances. Her live performances are just beautiful, and you'll have a wonderful time. So again, Keiko, thank you very much, and I'll
Thank you
have to
very
say good
much.
night.
Yeah, good
Good
night. Thank you.
good night.